In this video, we're going to give a sneak peek into a few punching shear improvements that will be included in Builder 2018.1. The tentative release is January 2019. So we'll go ahead and we're going to set this up just as an RC Floor Pro model in Builder, and we'll create just a simple slab here, and we'll add a few columns. We'll try to note some of the current items that have been implemented as well as items that will be implemented for the release. So not all of it is done, but this just gives you a little taste of what will be available. So we'll add some loading to this slab. We'll add enough loading, so we need some reinforcement hopefully. We'll add 80 PSF to the slab. I'm actually going to make this slab 7 inches thick. And we'll go over here to criteria, and under shear design we notice that we have one additional improvement that's shown here. We have the option to extend critical sections to slab edges. So in the current version of the program, critical sections free edge will be assumed at the back face of a column when it's categorized as a end or edge condition or corner condition if the distance between the edge of the column and the slab edge is less than 4 times the slab thickness. So if we use this option, the program will extend and project the critical section to the edge of the column. So we'll select that. Additional things that will be added within this UI will be the ability to add number of rails per side uniquely. So sides A and B of the column, you'll have another option here to add that. You'll also have the option to normalize the stud spacing. So the program will space the studs uniformly. The user can enter an input for the uniform spacing, or the user can allow the program to pick the minimum spacing that is calculated along the rail and use that as the spacing. And it will add additional studs where needed to fill in that requirement. In addition to that, another option that will be added into this UI will be the ability for the program to enforce rail spacing around the column. So if you have a requirement, say, of 2 times effective depth for the maximum rail spacing between adjacent rails, the program will essentially override what you've added here, and it will fill in the maximum number of rails that are required to meet that option. So we'll go ahead and show what we have now. We're going to go ahead and mesh this slab, and I'll analyze the slab. And we're going to analyze this just for one. Let's do 2 combinations of these 2 strength combos. And once this is done, we can see the result display settings. This is also something that's going to be improving to provide the user with a better experience in terms of selecting graphical results. So in this case, we're going to select the option for the strength dead and live, this second option here. If we go to analysis under slab, you'll notice that right now punching shear is not shown. If I go and I check punching shear under floor design, then that's actually added to the list. So this dynamically changes for what's been already performed. What needs to be performed is not shown unless you actually run through the checks that are applicable to punching shear. So that's added, and now within the result display settings, we have the ability to check, for example, the punching shear stress ratio, and this color codes the ratio, gives a legend of where we need reinforcement, where the column is okay. We can check the stress ratio, and that's similar to what you might get up here in the current version under punching shear, under this panel. The condition, the program will show and color code the condition of the column, and it will actually show the shape of the first critical section as a dashed line or polygon around the column. That's the shape of the column. And then the last thing, the program will actually show the reinforcement where you need reinforcement. So we see there are 3 columns. If I go back to the stress check ratio that require reinforcing, if I jump over here to reinforcement, the program will show an arrow indicating the direction of the rail and the side of the column where rails are needed. So in this case, we set the number of rails to 2. In the current implementation, we have a total of 2 times 4 sides, that's 8 rails. Number of studs per rail is 5. The total rail length is 12.3 inches, and then this gives some indication of the stud spacing. This says 5 at 65, and this is still being worked on in terms of getting the units and all of the different unit settings shown within these text outputs. But this gives you an indication of better graphical output for punching shear. Now we're going to jump over here to reports. If I go to punching shear reports, I have an additional option for XLS reports. If I select that, the program essentially dumps a bunch of data relative to every design code, or excuse me, every critical section within that column check. So for example, we have the geometry for each layer, meaning each critical section for all of the columns. We have area of still required reported for different combinations, stud rail information, and required versus provided. And this is, again, something that's going to allow the user to dig in deeper and drill down into results versus only having a summary of the controlling critical section, what is currently output in the program. Additionally, if we go back to the punching shear reports and look at the punching shear reinforcement, the program now includes an envelope of the results. So if you had punching shear requirements for 20 strength combinations with or without lateral loads, there's going to be an option here to just envelope all of those results into one table. And again, this is in the form of what's currently output in the current version of the program. If you have any questions, please contact us at support@adaptsoft.com. Thank you.